You know why I'm nervous for Deadpool 3? Not because it could be good or bad, but will I even be able to tell at this point? Things are just predictable now in the MCU. Deadpool is absolutely their ace in the hole, though. Deadpool is a guaranteed hit for Disney, Marvel, the fanboys, everybody.
Guaranteed goddamn hit, all right? It's not exactly in my Q zone, is it?
Like if you showed 14-year-old me all those behind-the-scenes images of the 20th Century Fox logo buried in the sand, or even just the slightest hint at Deadpool meeting the characters in the MCU, it would have made me so hard, dude. Oh boy, but time flies when you're sitting around waiting forever, huh? Deadpool 3 comes out at the end of this week, and I've decided arbitrarily that Deadpool 3 is gonna be my final straw with the MCU. Not that anybody gives a f***. Shout out Childish Gambino. If it's as interesting as it promises, maybe it'll breathe new life into something that I think is dead, to me at least. But who the fuck am I? I'm 30 now, you know? I'm tired more often. I watch a lot of different kinds of stuff now. My dad almost died of cancer. I had to put my ferret down. Marvel let me down too many times. I had to find what I needed elsewhere. I feel like I noticed the tap out fully, though, back in Multiverse of Madness. I did not freak out when I saw Jim Halpert as Mr. Fantastic. I thought it was cringe, just like how I find the awkward applause break pause Andrew Garfield takes in No Way Home to be cringe.
Okay.
It pulls me out of it. The fan service is too self-aware. So enter Wade Wilson to save the MCU? Let's talk about that. Or let's talk about whatever else. Deadpool, as I remember him from the comics, wasn't front-loading fan service when he broke the fourth wall or gutted his own comic book artist while drawing him or whatever. It was just Deadpool. That's what he did, and it was pretty original for me. But fast forward to 2024, regardless of how superhero fatigued you are or aren't, the concept of this movie, as we understand it, is setting up to be revolutionary for the MCU now. After years and years of the middest mid I've ever midded, minus Guardians 3, we are finally getting something interesting, but how interesting can it even be for me at this point? I've been a pretty casual fan of Marvel comics since I was in high school, but very quickly found my favorite heroes, pretty much stuck to them. Shout out Iron Fist, Daredevil, Punisher. But when Iron Man came out in 2008, I was a diehard MCU dude until Endgame, and eventually I actually put down like bi-weekly issue comics by college. However, I got back into comics in my late 20s. In the vacuum of the pandemic, I spent way too much money on these graphic novels or compendiums, copping volume after volume of particular runs. But the problem was Marvel and DC were gone from my taste now, and the comics I was reading weren't really superhero comics. I started reading all kinds of other stuff. I found Image and Vertigo. I'm talking about Thor writer Jason Aaron's Vertigo series Scalped, or Garth Ennis's demented fucking run of Crossed, or Paper Girls, Harrow County. I don't know if it counts, but also finally got through Uzumaki, weird non-DC Alan Moore stuff. All this to say, my relationship with comic books, and specifically quote-unquote edgy comic books, started at Deadpool. Or maybe Garth Ennis's Punisher run, but Deadpool is what we're here for today, so we're going to talk about Deadpool. The meta fourth wall breaking stuff as seen in the comics was awesome. My friend showed me that Deadpool run that ended with him basically killing every executive off at Marvel, and it blew my teenage mind. Pause. But when we finally got the Deadpool movie, him turning to the camera and saying, "Oh, fuck me in the dick," just was not it for me, man. It's not that funny. In the same scene, he says, after breaking both his wrists and holding them limply up in front of him, he's like, "The T-Rex was the most feared among all the dinosaurs." That was really funny. That joke did make me laugh. But I rewatched Deadpool 1 and 2 along with Logan in prep for Deadpool 3. I've been doing my homework. Here's how I feel about him. Deadpool 1 throws a billion jokes at the screen, and not all of them land, but the ones that truly don't land for me are the constant schoolyard nonsense cursing that's funny when you're with your friends, but just feels lazy in a movie. If it's improv, whatever, but I'd like more well-written jokes. You can even include the word fuck and dick in it, but just using it as an exclamation is not funny to me. Specifically in the context of a Deadpool movie. If the context were different, that could be a funny line. You know, humor is weird that way. Speaking of improv, the other unfunny bit that happens more than once for some reason in this movie is TJ Miller and Deadpool going back and forth like an Apatow scene, describing just how fucked up Deadpool's face is. Also, keep in mind, this isn't some close analysis of Deadpool quips in this video. I'm not trying to talk down to those that love this still at 30 years old, and explaining a joke is awful and I hate doing it. I don't remember if I laughed at it back in 2000 whatever when it first came out and people communicated exclusively in Call of Duty lobby language, so I probably did laugh at it then. The origin story for Deadpool is great though, and in hindsight I do love the structure of essentially the present day being one huge set piece with flashbacks containing the majority of the movie. Neither timeline is better or worse than the other. They both felt of the same piece with the same pacing to me, which that pace meaning perfectly fast as hell. Complaining about Deadpool's pacing would be like complaining about a Family Guy episode's pacing. It's nonstop and obnoxious, and that's kind of why you're there. Deadpool 2 is way better than 1, in my opinion. Without the origin story requirements, we get to have a fresh set of stakes and story, tons of new characters, and tons of jokes. Specifically, tons of good jokes from new characters that aren't TJ Miller. Domino, Cable, Fire Fist. Oh, what happened to you, Julian Dennison? You are so good in this movie and Hunt for the Wilder People. Where did you go? Even giving small parts to great actors like Eddie Marsan as the evil headmaster and Rob Delaney as Peter just posted there like a dork. It still makes me laugh. The cast of Deadpool 2 is stacked and inspired. The action felt jam-packed with cool shit, with the intro of Cable and Domino. Domino's set piece is awesome, and the CGI does look kind of wonky in that one, and it's not even a big deal. I don't know why I brought it up. Anyway, on to Logan. That is secretly a Western. Did you know that? Logan is one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. It is a unique story, it's tragic, tense, brutal, and the final climax with all the little kids doing superpowers is a little bit cringy now that I don't know why. Maybe it's me being 30, I don't know, that shit is a little cringe to me. But aside from that, this movie is almost perfect, and I'm just now realizing in prep for Deadpool 3 that Logan is also obviously edgy, but also a little bit meta, but it does it in a different way that's more suited to my dread maxing, all hope is lost kind of taste. The X-Men comics are brought up, and Logan gets pissy seeing X-Men stories he experienced in real life being regurgitated back to him through this colorful comic book panel. It was a compelling shade to his character. It's edgy because James Mangold seems to have zero sentiment for the MCU's brand of sentimental fan service, instead choosing to give us Charles Xavier, but he'll be murdered in his sleep like it's nothing by basically his son. That's one of the benefits of having your own universe, I guess, to play around in. But now universes might be mixing, man, getting crossed over. But literally anything that happens in this movie could not surprise me. The only thing that would surprise me is that whatever does happen, does it matter? Will this affect the MCU moving forward? And if it does, will I care about that? Do I care that Deadpool and Echo could meet? Do I care that Deadpool will be able to make self-referential, whoa, isn't this crazy jokes better than Ned? If Deadpool's whole thing is that winning devil may care, nothing matters, blow it all up vibe, how will he actually help the MCU as a franchise? How can Deadpool breathe new life into a universe when his entire pitch is being so detached from any fictional reality? He treats universes how I treat Zen pouches. Is it possible Deadpool will actually, as a giant bit, remove what little breath the MCU has in it now? These are all stupid questions, and I'm just airing out my thoughts before seeing Deadpool 3. Despite all the shit I've said, I'm pretty excited for Deadpool 3, and I'm kind of capping, I'm being melodramatic, but I'm just kind of talking my way around this stuff. Deadpool 3, it seems like it will be fun, you know? And Guardians 3 was only a year ago, and I legit love that movie. I've always said as the MCU slides further and further from mid to pointless and bad and not for me anymore, there's always still hope, because a good movie is a good movie is a good movie is a good movie. I will hold no bias and try to go into every new movie as an entirely unique experience. The MCU inherently just makes that difficult because of how connected it all is, but they made it work for almost 20 years, so they can do it again. At least I pray they can do it again. Thanks for listening to my cluttered thoughts. I hope some people out there have had the same experience with Deadpool in these movies, but I don't know, call it a midlife crisis or whatever, but I just wanted to get this off my chest. Trying to tell the difference between superhero fatigue and my own fatigue can be tough sometimes. And Deadpool 3 really got me thinking about all this. All right, thanks guys, later.
Guaranteed goddamn hit, all right? It's not exactly in my Q zone.